Welcome to the WolfPack Sports Wire, a podcast from the athletic department at Whitefield Academy. Whitefield Academy is a Christ-centered pre-K through 12 college preparatory school located in Smyrna, Georgia. On this show, we highlight our hardworking coaches and student athletes who are excelling in and out of competition. Welcome back to the WolfPack Sports Wire podcast. I'm your host, Jack Hunter. Welcome to episode 2 of the school year, and if you're keeping tabs with us at home, episode 23 of the show. I've been waiting all weekend to get back in here because what a week we had last week in Whitefield and WolfPack athletics. Volleyball, softball, and football all had big wins, while cross country had top 3 finishes on both the boys and the girls sides at the Strong Rock Invitational over the weekend. Later in the show, we'll have on cross country head coach Zach Justice to break down those strong finishes. But with us right now is head football coach Robert Walsh, following a 42-35 win over Wesleyan, a thrilling win on Friday night in week 1. Coach, you won't see too many games better than that one out of the chute. Just a thrilling win. You may have had a slightly different perspective on it being on the sidelines and the fans in the stands or people up in the box, but what was it like to be a part of that game and come out on top so early in this season?
I told the boys in our community after the game, that was probably the most exciting game and one of the best football games I've been a part of probably since my first year here, that Mount Vernon double overtime win my first year. So very exciting game. I'm very proud of our young men, the toughness and the resilience they showed throughout that whole game. Our mental toughness approach this offseason and in the summer, I think, paid off in that game just from a physicality standpoint and a conditioning standpoint for sure.
So you guys got down early. It's 14-0, and then in the second quarter, they pulled ahead 21-7. What did you think about the team's ability to not give up in that phase and just keep their head down and make that comeback?
I was extremely frustrated. I know they were extremely frustrated when it was 21-7 and we had to punt again. That game could have very easily went sideways real quick, but extremely proud of our defense to get another stop for us right there to allow us to go down and get a score to make it a 7-point game. The first half was really, really sloppy, a lot of penalties, a lot of things that put us behind the chains and on offense. So we didn't perform the way we wanted to. But at the end of the half, we started to execute in the way I knew we could. And, some of Wesleyan's players were starting to tap out already. And I felt like we had them on the ropes, especially from a tempo standpoint.
So you said last week, big key coming into the game was going to be the offensive line. And they were a big part of your team rushing for 398 yards in week 1. What did you think of their play up front?
Extremely proud of them. Luke Linder's a big part of that. Amos had a big part of that as well, blocking for Landon on some run plays. But those 5 guys up front, undersized compared to Wesleyan's guys, and just a lot of fight and a lot of grit and toughness from those guys. 4 new starters, 3 of them new to Friday Night Lights, and they executed at a high level and did an unbelievable job.
So Landon Ryan was the one that punched home the game-winning touchdown with under 5 seconds left to go in the game, and he was the star of the show, especially late down the stretch. Ran for over 200 yards, 4 rushing touchdowns, threw for 131 yards in the air. It seemed like the whole stadium on that last drive knew exactly what was going to happen, especially you get past midfield. In terms of drives that you've seen from an individual player, I mean, he had 2 third-down long rushing conversions, had that big rollout pass on 4th down to Linder. Where does that compare in terms of just a clutch drive that you've seen from a player like that?
I actually posted it on Twitter. I don't think I've seen in person a better quarterback performance and putting the team on your back like he did Friday night. As I was going through that last drive and thinking about play calls, my biggest thing was I can't take the ball out of Landon Ryan's hands right now. I got to allow him to make plays and make me look great as a play caller. That 4th and 10 conversion, it wasn't like I drew something up that was an unbelievable play call. He he scrambled out of the pocket and made a great throw to Luke, and Luke made a great catch on the sideline, and then we punch it in on a run play with him.
Yeah, how have you seen him? I mean, I know it's early in the season, but how have you seen him develop, Landon, from last year? We saw a lot of development that he made last year, but coming into this year, we talked last week about taking that next step. What did you see from his game on Friday that you saw may have been something that he was really improving on from the offseason?
Very decisive in his decision making. When he dropped back to pass, went through his progression. If it wasn't there, he was taking the ball down and he was going to make a play for his team. And that's what I've been asking him to do for the last 2 years as he's been growing, is just be decisive with your decision making, and let's live with the results. And he definitely did that Friday night. Extremely proud of him.
Yeah, so Amos Robinson, 186 rushing yards on the ground. He's a little banged up, too, during the game and just kept on going. Obviously, a lot of pressure wearing that 0 number after Mason's strong year last year. But, I mean, he came out, he was shot out of a cannon, bowling over guys, picking up yards after contact. What did you see from his game on Friday night?
As the game went on, and this is, what I think it could be all season, a lot of teams don't want to tackle him as the game goes on. It took Amos a drive or two to get comfortable, but once he gets comfortable and he puts his foot in the ground and gets north and south, he's going to get at least 3.5, 4 yards every time, even if there's nothing there. So I'm extremely proud of him. The toughness he's shown down the stretch, especially with the ankle, and still going out there and being a part of the big drive to end the game and blocking. He had a couple carries there at the end of the game too as well. But extremely proud of him. I thought, he's a different style runner than Mason. He's going to make the 0 his version of number 0, which I'm excited to see as the season goes forward.
For sure. And we were talking about this a little bit on Friday, and just you come to this realization, this is the first time now in your 4th year that you guys have won a week 1 game, because you guys scheduled strong opponents throughout your tenure. This one was no different, a strong opponent in week 1. What is the significance to you just as in your tenure to pick up that first week 1 win of the season?
It's exciting. We've been talking about being 1-0, and it's not so much being 1-0 week 1, but it's being 1-0 every week. And the boys made a little bit of a joke about it after the game. We got on the bus. They're like, "Coach, we're finally 1-0." But it's exciting. But now we got to turn the page to a very good Mount Vernon team that is very talented and very skilled at the skill positions, and defensively they do a lot. So we're 1-0. That's great, but we got to turn the page and try to get another big win this Friday.
Yeah. So let's turn the page. So there's obviously, when you have big wins, it's obviously great. You're celebrating, everybody's happy, but it can be probably a little bit of a challenge as a coach to get your guys ready to go into another matchup, especially you're playing at home, things are looking good. How do you keep the team, and how are the captains, how are the leaders on this team keeping the team focused this week to make sure you come out on Friday and play your best game?
You just got to turn the film on of Mount Vernon and watch how talented they are at their skill positions. Defensively, they do a lot. They fly around to the football. Offensively, they got a quarterback, a trigger man this year as a senior that seems very, very comfortable in their offense. And, you got Torrin Rollins, Keon Cleland, and A.J. Rahal at the quarterback position. And then they added Gavin Steele, the running back from Mount Perrin last year, to their team. So they're very talented on offense. Defensively, it's going to take us doing our job, tackling in space, and making sure we're reading our keys and doing what we need to run into the football.
Yeah, and on the field, what do you think the keys to the game are going to be in order to pull out a win against a good Mount Vernon squad?
I think, an advantage for us is especially our tempo on offense. When I opened up our game film on Saturday morning and looked at it, I saw we had 86 offensive plays. Now, that's including some penalties, some, freeze plays and some timeouts. But, if you look at the stats, we had 71 total plays that were listed in the stats. So we probably ran about 80 plays offensively, which is kind of, that's what you want to do if you're a tempo offense. It tires out the other team, especially if they got guys going both ways. So I think that's an advantage for us. That's going to be a key to the game, is being fast with our offense and our tempo. And then defensively, it's definitely going to be running and tackling, running to the football and tackling.
Yeah, last question I got for you here. Last year, big home attendance to the games. You're really encouraging everybody get out there, and it was really a big home field advantage last year. What's your message to the community as trying to rally around the team going ahead in the first home game of the year to get out and support the guys?
Every year I feel like our crowds have gotten bigger since I've been here. This year I don't think it's going to be any different. I'm hopeful everyone will show up at 625 for that pack walk. We're actually going to have both our middle school teams and our middle school cheerleaders join us in that pack walk on Friday night. I hope everybody can come out, bring a friend with you, bring your kids, and just make it a community event. Leave your comfortable seating at home. Let's stand up all night on Friday night and be loud for these boys and the work they've put in, and allow them to put on a show for you.
All right, well, that sounds great to me. Let's go 1-0 again this week, Coach, and best of luck.
All right, go Pack.
Now we are joined by second-year head cross-country coach Zach Justice. The team is early on in their season, having competed in 2 meets thus far. The cross-country team's coming off of a strong 2025 season, the boys finishing second in state, the girls with a top 10 finish as well. Zach, it's good to have you on again. You were on the first episode of this show ever last year, so it's great to have you back on for season 2.
Yeah, glad to be back and talk a little cross-country.
So as I mentioned, you guys have raced twice so far this year. You guys had summer practices, and then you get to school and you get back into the mandatory stuff. Where do you think the team is right now, progress-wise, as you build up to the big state meet?
Yeah, so we put in some really, really good work over the summer. Definitely our strongest summer, attendance-wise, effort-wise. So I felt like we're coming into the season with a lot of momentum. Ran 2 races. Both of these races were a little hot, as you can imagine, a little bit slower courses with some hills and some turns. Some speculation that our race last Saturday may have been a little bit long as well. So taking all that into account, we haven't necessarily been running blistering times, but in terms of the quality of the course and our output on that course, we're doing really well. We've had several PRs already this season on the girls and on the boys' side, which is pretty encouraging. We had 6 PRs, for example, for the girls last Saturday. So that's a pretty big improvement this early in the season, especially considering we haven't really done as much hard track running where we get a lot of our fitness yet.
Yeah, so last week, Strong Rock Invitational, girls with a second place finish, boys with a third place finish. It's kind of an interesting meet for you guys, and you had some regulars in there on both sides, but you also had some freshmen, some new runners step up with some other runners not competing this weekend. What was kind of your breakdown of the meet in terms of, you got some, especially on the boys' side, some more experienced runners doing some good things, but then on the girls' side, you had some new faces stepping up?
Yeah, I was very happy with the boys' output. We obviously lost a lot of talent last year, even in the middle of the season, and graduated some very talented leaders and seniors, mainstays in our program. And we've had a lot of guys really step up in leadership in terms of just working hard, doing what they're supposed to do. A couple of younger guys, some sophomores really stepping up, coming into their own, which has been cool to see. We're still missing Jasper Bacon, who's typically our number 3 guy, right up there with Stewart and Carlton. So definitely still more meat on the bone there, but really happy with the performance that we had. We're able to compete well against some teams in our region that were there, so that was cool. And then the girls, yeah, we were missing our number 1 and number 2, Amy and Lucy. They had to take the SAT. So we got a cool preview of what our team might look like next year. The whole top 7 that ran was returners for next year. So that was kind of a cool thing to see, even losing 2 talented girls next year. This early in the season, we're still looking really, really good with some of the new soccer girls that have come out, and that's really bolstered our team. And then some of the girls who've been running track and cross country for a while, still putting in really, really, really good work. Yeah,
9th grader Claire Sheeran, familiar last name, but Claire Sheeran finished in 12th place in that race. As I can personally attest, she was tearing it up in the middle school level last year. So good to see her on the varsity level doing great things. And we've talked a lot just kind of off the mic, just as a program, the past few months about just the rise of the girls program. We saw a little bit last year. This year we're seeing it again as well. What is it like for you to witness, and what have you seen in terms of just the quality and the quantity of girls in the program that are really elevating year after year the quality of that side of the program?
Yeah, we really have a lot of exciting momentum in the girls program across 2A through 4A private. This is the strongest field of girls cross country I've ever seen. Last year was very strong, and now especially dropping some of the traditional powerhouses, Westminster Pace, down into our classification. It is really, really a strong field of competition, and our girls are really rising to that. There's, I think, a lot of factors. Number one, the girls who have run for a while, so like Lucy, Parker Ailstock, who's our manager, Annalise LeBlanc, these girls, and many others, Gianna, they've really made the team a super fun community and environment. So last year when we had some new girls who had never run before come out, they were able to really sing the praises of cross country. It's maybe not the most exciting sport at first glance, but they were able to come out and say, wow, this is actually really fun. It's a fun community. So we were able to add a lot of numbers. Obviously, Coach Rainey, the head women's soccer coach, has been huge in terms of our growth and development, getting new girls in and helping us build. We've got a new coach, Coach Shields, as well, who's just brought so much fun and energy, especially to the girls team. So those are some really big factors. I think the middle school program has been a huge factor. Lindley Wynn, obviously, historically, really building up those girls. And now here, the new coach, new coaching staff's not too bad. So we've just got a lot of numbers. I think the energy is changing around the program, which is really, really exciting. And I think they're seeing, I can do difficult things. I can compete at a really high level, and it can also serve me in my other sports. And really the big thing for me is it's just become a really fun community of a lot of different girls who can get together, do something difficult, push themselves, make themselves better, which is pretty cool.
Yeah, last year we talked, and you were just kind of underway as head coach, had a few months in the summer under your belt. So I want to kind of re-ask you this question this year. How do you feel like you've been able to put your kind of coaching DNA on the program as you've had it for a little bit longer now?
Yeah, so it's the way I coach is sort of a mixture of the way my coach Matthew Bacorn in high school coached, and then my coach David Walford up at Wheaton, and Scott Bradley as well. I kind of tried to listen to them and see how they would coach. And then obviously our educational philosophy and practices at Whitefield Academy really greatly inform how I approach each athlete. So yeah, I mean, it's been a really fun opportunity for me to give back to the program because the program impacted me a lot. And I really feel like the kids are responding really well, and they're working really hard. And they're really kind of shaping the program, especially on the girls' side. There's a lot of growth that's happened, and they've really taken the culture in a direction that they want to see it, which that I think is how I'd answer that question, is to say I really want to give the kids a lot of agency and leadership in terms of what this program looks like. Obviously, we have standards of excellence, attitude, and effort. But as long as we're meeting that standard, I really like to give them a lot of opportunity to shape the culture and make it exciting for kind of how they want to see the program go and succeed.
Yeah, we could be here for 45 minutes talking about this next thing. So we're gonna dim this down a little bit. But you are a very methodical coach. You're very organized. You have these big plans, these big training plans that lead up to the state meet. You want to peak. You want to run fast when it counts. That's your big thing. So just kind of go a little bit inside of your thinking or your strategy for how you like to run a cross country team.
Yeah, so cross country and track are pretty different from other sports in that your regular season games do not matter at all for your postseason outcome. The only two meets that matter are your sectional meet and your state meet. Sectionals, top 4 teams move on to the state meet from each region, so 8 teams total, and then state meet, winner takes all. So everything up to that point is just a dress rehearsal. Obviously, we can run PRs. We can get fast times. That's important for confidence. That's important for college recruiting, for kids who may want to run in college. But in terms of the team success at the end of the season, there's only 2 meets that matter. So it really is an exercise of self-control and discipline in terms of peaking when in late October, early November. And it's a really delicate dance because each athlete is a unique individual with many factors that go into their success athletically. So there's physical, mental, emotional. I mean, we're dealing with high school. There's just a lot going on. How much sleep are we getting? Are we eating right? That all affects what sort of training inputs I can give. But my main philosophy is just don't work too hard too early. I have seen tale as old as time, especially in high school cross country, but even in college, you'll have kids run really, really well in late September, early October. The team looks great. We look like we're unbeatable. And then you just can't sustain that peak for over a month, especially considering all the other factors that we have going on in life. So I kind of like to think about it like a pyramid, build a really wide base foundation of nice, easy, slower running, some speed work, and then slowly build up towards those intense workouts at 5K race pace, race a little bit. And then by the end of the season, we can kind of take all the pieces we've put together and build this one really efficient engine. And so then we're in shape for those last two meets that really do matter.
If you want to go back and listen to more about Zach's Whitefield journey as a student athlete and coming back, go back and listen to episode 1. But I do want to ask you again, you and your classmates, you really helped build, at least on the boys' side, the program to excellence. And now you're on the other side of it. What is it like to be back at Whitefield, now in your second year as head coach, and keep the reins of a program that you really saw from the ground up build to excellence?
Yeah, it's really, I think, a good story about God's plans and things that I wouldn't necessarily have seen. I mean, it's very interesting being on the coaching side, seeing some of the mistakes and immaturities that me and my buddies would have had, even as we were kind of building something cool. And I would not have seen myself, coaching or teaching at Whitefield. So it's a good story of God's sovereignty in terms of where his plan took me. But yeah, it has been very exciting just to see the continuity and the change and growth over our program over the last decade on the boys' side, and the sustained success and competitive effort that we've been able to put out, whatever the results may be. And I'm very proud of that. But I'm also very, very proud of the way our girls' program has grown. When I was on the team, we had like anywhere from 2 to 5 girls, barely really even able to field a team. Certainly weren't thinking about trying to podium at state in a really competitive classification. So it's just cool the way things have stayed the same, but also the way things have changed, and be able to sort of continue giving some input on that and steward that. And as always, I feel the need when we're talking about growing this program to mention really who I consider the godfather of Whitefield Cross Country, Jim Highscale, who he really took a lot of kids who maybe wouldn't have thought of themselves as runners and said, hey, you should really give this a chance. And that's really what started some of the momentum and started some of the growth that's still continuing today.
All right. Well, Zach, it's great to have you on. It's always great to talk cross country, and we'll have to get you back on soon, hopefully, to talk about some later season success.
All right. Sounds good. Glad to be here.
That'll do it for episode 23 of the WolfPack Sports Wire podcast. Thank you so much for making us a part of your day. Make sure to come out tomorrow night, Friday night, 7:30 kick for our football team's first home game against the Mount Vernon Mustangs. That'll do it for me. I'm Jack Hunter, and we'll catch you next time on The Wire.